Everyone has opinions about Mormons. Some were curious and some were harsh, but some are completely wrong. I decided not to trust those assumptions. Instead, I went in with questions. I conducted 2 different types of surveys, both exploring the Mormon community. So there was one titled Exploring the Mormon Community Perspectives from its Members, and the second one was the Public Perspectives on Mormon Faith, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. From my classmates, social media, movies, and surveys, I already had an image in my head of what that community would look like. So I definitely did not enter this project feeling like neutral. I carried a ton of assumptions, watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and from TikTok there's like so many videos about how like Mormons are perceived, and honestly, I have to say that I was on the side of that they're cool. My surveys showed that I wasn't alone. Many people believed that the LDS members, or the Mormons, were overbearing, disconnected, emotionless. Some say like they're too perfect, too strict, but that's not really what I like felt, to be honest. On a quiet Sunday morning in Chandler, Arizona, I walked into LDS Chapel expecting formality. What I found there was something else. Like, I went to the small group 1-hour session after the service, and everyone was super nice. To be honest, I was kind of intimidated just because like everyone here like felt like they came out of the same womb or something. Families walked inside together, and all of the boys in the LDS church, they all wore like ties or a white collared button-up shirt. And for the women, they all wore dresses, like long maxi dresses or maxi skirts. Inside the chapel, there were no crosses. It's a blank canvas, basically. And there was no stained glass, there was no altar, there was like none of that. I think the only thing that they had was this like weird calendar looking thing on the side. It wasn't even really a calendar, it just had like numbers. It felt like very minimalistic, very modern, plain. But outside the chapel, there's like a waiting room. And like, I guess it's like a lobby, but they call it the waiting room. And you can like sit there. And very subtle. And yeah, it felt like a museum. So the meeting began with a hymn, and it wasn't like a performance. Like, there was no big lights, there was no band playing in the background. It was literally just a piano, and it was just voices. Like, everyone was just singing quietly. No one was like shouting out loud with their hands up like this. We all just like kind of stood there in a line, and we all just like sang really quietly. Then after we sang like 1 or 2 hymns, the sacrament began, which there was like a group of 12 young men from the ages of 14 to 16, and they prepared like a tray with tiny slices of bread, like they were probably like this small, and we prayed over the bread, and then the 10 to 12 young men passed the trays, like, and this whole time, like, everything's silent, like, no one was speaking, and no one really moved, no one talked either. So after the sacrament, the service changed a little differently. Everyone began to speak more freely, and no one really like claimed authority.
A youth speaker, like teenager, and then they have maybe a few adults speak, and it's well, most of the time it's like they have a topic and then they talk about it and their testimonies and stuff.
There are other Christian churches who claim that there's really not much difference between.
Well, the person up front was giving their testimony and stuff, like people were just like talking like probably like this loud. There were babies crying, like no one really like usually people would like be silent during the testimony. The part where the preachers start preaching, no one really cared, like they just kind of talked. And also like no one was really annoyed either, like no one was like hushing anyone, being like side-eyeing, like it felt really like normal. And like I don't know, it just felt like everyone there, it felt like a Thanksgiving, honestly. It felt like this church didn't really separate families during worship. It held people together, and people were like just lingering, like even after the service, like people just stacked chairs like without asking. People like started moving to groups like as if they know this church by like from the back of their hand. Honestly, they probably do, because they were probably like born in this church. Conversations like flowed like really easily. They were very welcoming, that's for sure. Like they welcomed me very well, and like they were very kind. I visited this church for the first time, and the amount of people who came up to me being like, oh, like, what's up, sister? Like, how are you doing, sister? Hold up, I don't know you at all. But they made it like so like comfortable, as if like, and like familiar, as if like I knew them. And it felt like there was no spotlight, there was no announcements. It just felt like quiet kindness, and the service wasn't really like advertised, it was assumed. What surprised me the most was like not really how different the community was, but how familiar it felt. Like throughout the whole service, I was starting to remember like how Catholic services like usually run, or like the church that I usually go to like on Sundays run. Like it kind of felt like the same, but just like a little twisted, like with a little remix. Religion didn't make these people strangers. It gave them structure to be themselves, and it really opened up like individuality. It's a story about faith, identity, and the difference between who people are and who the world thinks they are.